Let's talk about something that I've been thinking about lately, or rather, two things that I've been thinking about lately. One is the idea that nothing is ever wasted, referring to any effort, anything that you've done, that you've made, that you've created, that even if it doesn't turn out, that nothing is ever wasted, because the experience that you went through during the process is something that you can only learn by that particular doing. Even if that doing or the experience didn't turn out well or didn't turn out into something that is useful in the sense that you want to show it to the external world. So that's one, the idea that nothing is ever wasted. The second one is the idea that everything you like it for a reason, and that's why all the more you should lean into the things that you like. So these two thoughts have been swirling around in my head for a bit. And today, while thinking about what to make for a video, I thought actually these two things can kind of be grouped together to become a bit of a bigger overarching concept, and that is the idea that I don't know what I'm gonna title this video yet, but it's something along the lines of you like what you like for a reason, so lean into it. Also, at the same time, nothing is ever wasted. And maybe the idea is that all these things, the things that you like and the things that you feel like are things that are wasted effort, wasted doing, wasted products, maybe these are all just pieces that make up the path, the journey of who you are. So in a way it's about the positive, not as in like good and bad positive, but positive as in like there's a thing there and there isn't a thing there kind of positive. So like positive form and negative space, that kind of positive. So in a way there's something positive in that. There's something that you like, something that you desire, things that you find beautiful, things that you are attracted to, drawn to. I think those are all very good ways to let ourselves be guided in life. And when I say ourselves, I'm mostly talking about me first and foremost. And more and more I've been thinking like the things that I like for a reason. I was doing some face ups yesterday and I decided to try a color scheme and kind of like a blush placement that I've never tried before, but it's somewhat reminiscent, like it's variations on the theme of the kind of stuff that I like to do, which is kind of alternative makeup face ups kind of thing. The keywords that I was typing into Pinterest to try and find reference images, which I couldn't find, were sickly prints. So anyway, without going into what the face up itself looked like, but yeah, I didn't do that face up thinking that I would share it. I was really just like looking at a scalp, seeing what I like about it and what I felt like doing in that moment, which is kind of how I let my art be when I'm actually focused on making the art rather than making something that can be shown to other people, like a finished product that can be shown to other people. When I'm truly like focus on making the art, enjoying the creation process, trying to like do the art for me, I guess. Like really the me that is in that particular moment of making the art. I've observed, because in the moment of actually doing, I don't think I'm fully aware of anything other than the actual doing. But in the moments after, in observing what I've created, I have noticed a pattern, which, like I said, tends to be face ups that are in the alternative makeup looking kind of aesthetics. And the more I thought about it, the more it seems like what I like really does show itself in various ways throughout my life. Aesthetics is one, I think, that is very easy to see, very common. Most prominently, I guess, because it is very visual and we spend so much of our time using our eyes, if that makes sense. Like we take in so much information via seeing every day. So in a way, aesthetics makes a lot of sense in terms of how I've came to observe what I like and dislike a lot in terms of visual things. But also like texturally, right? Like if we're talking about clothes, I know the kind of materials that I like and dislike. In terms of feeling, in terms of touch. And then there's a whole other category of materials that I like looking at but I would not like touching. And those tends to be the sequined, shiny, plasticky things. Things that kind of have this like special sheen, special effect in a way, if you want to call it that. But they don't feel great on the skin. So that's kind of like another dimension. And other stuff that I like and dislike that I've not sorted into any particular category. Like for example, in terms of alcohol, I like soju. I don't like beer. I don't like whiskey and other hard liquors in a way. And why that's the case, I'm not entirely sure. Besides just a very instinctual or reactionary, like, yeah, I like this thing. Nope, I don't like this other thing. And maybe we don't really need to go deeper than that. Like sometimes it's enough to know what you like and what you don't like. And I think it's interesting because, of course, there are a lot of things that I don't really have a particular opinion on, whether I like or don't like it. But it's interesting, more so in the areas of things that I do have apparently an opinion on whether I like or dislike it. So I think those are interesting because I don't think about it consciously. It's kind of like I just know. I mean, we can talk about how it's really like, the body knowing, how the body itself has an intelligence that is aside from the brain, the mind. But really like this feeling of like, there are things that I just like, like, and I can probably explain why I like them if I'm forced to dig deeper and give a reason, but I think it's more interesting to look at the fact that I even just like a thing. You get what I mean? Like, why do I like a thing but not another thing? And by virtue of the fact that there are things that I like and that there are things that I dislike, does it suggest that maybe I should really just let that drive how I want to lean into life? Like, there's so many things in this world, so many things that I'm pretty much neutral. Not saying neutral, but like I don't really have an opinion on. And there are things that I really like and I don't particularly like. And like out of all these things, why not choose the things that I like? Like what's really stopping me from doing that? So that's one train of thought, right? And I don't think that has a particular ending, but I'm gonna just move on to the next one, which is that nothing is ever really wasted. I think I know this intellectually, but it's always hard to really fully embody it in person. The idea that nothing is ever truly wasted. I thought about it, like, how do I put this? Often I'm asked, because I'm no longer doing a job that is in a field that was what I studied for in university, whether I ever regret the choice of what I studied. And the answer is actually no. I don't regret it. Mainly because I think without it I won't be the person that I am now. And I think that kind of like the general gist of that applies to almost anything else that I've done or tried that didn't turn out well, like didn't end up leading me onto a path that like I should be on. Like of course I know objectively that like it doesn't mean that like just because you study a course or that you've tried a certain thing that you are meant to see it all the way through to the end or to follow what everybody else who has started that particular thing is doing. Like I don't know why this is the example, but like for example, just because I tried bouldering once doesn't mean I'm gonna take that up as a hobby or become an avid boulder climber. Is that what it's called? Somebody who boulders. Like just because I try something doesn't mean I have to see it through all the way to the end, which is maybe obvious to some people. But I think with the way that I tend to be, this was not something that comes very naturally to me. I tend to be somebody that likes to do a thing and see it all the way through to the end, even if it doesn't serve me. So as I've gotten older, I've gotten a bit more experience and a bit better at figuring out when a thing isn't serving me and to let it go, to stop doing it, so that I actually have the time and energy to do the things that I like more. But at the same time, giving it up, like it's easy to fall into the sunk cost fallacy of being like, I've spent a certain number of time, years, effort, hard work on this thing. Isn't it a waste, right? Back to the word again. Isn't it a waste to give it up? And I think the answer is no. I think the answer is no in the same way I don't regret not doing work in a field that I spent 5 years in university for. Because ultimately the experience of going through the thing allowed me to learn something about myself, and like whether positive or negative, and that is something that like sure maybe I can also learn about that through another means, but at the end of the day that was the particular way, whatever happened, it was the particular way that I learned a thing about myself. And of course I can go ahead and see it as a waste of time or a waste of energy and effort, but I think it is much more helpful for me to think about it as like a part of a building block. A building block in this path of my life. In that it helped shape who I am, but it's kind of just a dormant thing now. Like, like we have so many genes in our DNA, but so many of it don't show up as anything particular. A lot of them are dormant. I guess that's maybe the way I think about the stuff that I have done but no longer do, or had spent time on but no longer have since given up on. Because it's only normal and in fact healthy and natural to have to give up on things, right? There's only so many spoons we have, there's only so much time we have, there's only so much effort and energy that we can put in. Of course it comes to a point where there are things that we have to just give up. But yeah, rather than see it as wasted, I think it's much better to see it as a period of your life, or an experience if it's a short one, that has taught you something about yourself. I guess that's what can be said about the things that I like too. Like the fact that what I like can be also something that teaches me about who I am, what I am, who I am. Yeah. So I don't think these are the complete building blocks to life. But I would say like these are the ones that I'm currently thinking about in this process of actually living life. Yeah. And I think that's where I'll end off today. See you next time. Bye.